had streamers say, I don't know how to brand. I don't know what to brand. You go on Google or YouTube, you'll find tons of information on branding. The problem is, some of it isn't actually what branding is. It doesn't tell you exactly what branding is. It just gives you a bucket full of stuff to do and tells you that's branding. But today, we're going to tell you exactly what branding is so you have a better idea and you can improve your stream through branding. Real quickly before I forget, if you can, hit that like button. Don't be afraid to subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. I also stream on Twitch. You can search for me, Airmid, or you can hit the links below. I try and do so regularly, but I am working full-time as well, doing PR as my profession. So it takes a lot of time, but I do try and stream as much as possible. So catch me on there if you can. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. First off, let's define branding. Let's start off with that. Branding is what your viewers think of you. Let's unpackage that a little bit, actually. If branding is just how your viewers see you, then really you can think of it as nothing more than a relationship. Branding is a relationship with people. In this case, we're kind of, with the word branding, we're focusing on a large number of people. Our goal is to have some type of bell curve with this. A normal bell curve, you're going to have people who really don't like you, you're going to have people who really like you, and then you're going to have the people in the middle who, you know, they're not on either end, but they're still coming to your stream regularly. This really isn't much different than how you react or how you interact with people in your everyday life. Most people want to have friends, and they want to have more friends than they want to have enemies or people who dislike them. You go about it the same way. You meet a new person, usually you make some type of preconceived notion just even before they speak, just based on nonverbal cues like what they're wearing, how they present themselves. You might have a couple of questions right now, right? So if other people are deciding your brand, you're not in control of your brand really, then what's the point? How do people, or why do people put such an effort into branding? You do have ways, just like you do in real life, of influencing how people see you. The nicer you dress, the more professional. Dress too nicely, some people might think maybe you're a little arrogant. If you dress too poorly, people might think you're not professional. People take in that visual information, and before knowing you, they decide. It's the same thing when you're streaming. When you're streaming, there are certain things, and this always gets labeled as branding, but really it's brand influence. We want to influence our brand with things like logos. So no, logos are not a brand, but they're how we can influence people to feel in line with our brand. So if they've never heard of us before, they're scrolling through Twitch, they see what your logo is, even if you're just using your photo, you know, picture of your face. If it's a professional looking picture, they're going to have a different idea about you than if it's a cartoon picture of your face. Your layout and how your streams look, all of this kind of ties in to brand influence. But what's going on while you're streaming, that's your actual brand. How you communicate with those who are watching you, even when they're not watching you, when you have nobody watching you, how you're interacting with nobody being there is the start of your brand. People are going to come in and they're going to see you interacting with nobody a certain way, and they're going to get ideas from you, and that's really your brand. If you go through Twitch right now, and in fact, do it, pause this video, go on to Twitch and try and find a category, a game, or something that you don't ever watch, and just scroll through all those videos and kind of get an idea of some of the judgments you make before ever watching these people. Other people are going to do that to your streams. So do it. I'll wait. So if you go through and you're looking at these different streams, there's all sorts of, different ideas that you're going to get while you're going through it. If you see somebody who's got a setup like me, you're probably going to think, there's some level of professionalism there. They really care about their gear and how they present themselves. You're looking at their logos. Maybe they don't even have a logo. Maybe they're just using a photo of their face, or they're using their face in some manner. In fact, let's use this example. So you can have one person who has, let's say, a caricature of their face, and another person who has a professional headshot that was done of their face. Neither is better than the other, but they do tell people two different things. The more professional looking headshot's going to tell people, well, that person's probably a little bit more professional in how they go about their stream. They're maybe not as goofy as the caricature dude with a caricature face. They're probably a little bit more serious when they have that professional headshot. Now, it doesn't have to be exactly true. It's not saying that this person with the professional headshot is never goofy or funny or anything. It's just saying that's how they at least perceive themselves and how they're trying to present themselves. Now they're watching your video. Now everything you're doing in that stream, that's your branding. How you communicate with your viewers, how you put your content out, and how you're having this back and forth conversation, this relationship, that's your brand. In the end though, they can start, your fans, your viewers, they might have their own idea of what your brand is. So this is where it can kind of get hard, and this is where branding is very important. If you're trying to present yourself as A, but they see you as Z, there's a mix up there. And if you're presenting yourself as A, but you're actually Z, you're probably also losing, viewers, because people are looking at your logo, your layout, or whatever. They're looking at your, YouTube videos or whatever, and they're thinking, I'm going to see this in this video, but they don't get that. Our goal is not to make people feel one way about us. It would take a lot of work for you to go and say, everybody, this is who I am. You're gonna feel this way about me. No. Instead, you start looking at, if this is how people are seeing me, I need to kind of start moving that way. You see it all the time. When we're rebranding for a company, they are usually looking at a bunch of people similar to myself, PR professionals like myself, who get together to do a ton of research, including asking a bunch of people who use and don't use their product, what their point of views are on their services and as the company as a whole. And they find out, this is what people actually see you as, but you're trying to present this. You need to start being in line with what everybody else sees you as, and that's what you need to market towards. Alright, we've unpackaged a lot of details, but what do we do about it now? Well, the first thing you should do is kind of take a step back, make sure you understand you know who you are. If you can go back and watch some of your streams or reflect on some of your past relationships or how you interact with people, you're gonna have a good idea of what your brand is. Are you a really funny person? Are you so good at a game that people are gonna want to watch you just because you're so good at it? Are you very informational, very intellectual, very charismatic? Like, these are things that we can kind of start writing down and saying, this is who I am. And if you look at those, that's your mission statement. This is who you are, is your mission statement. That's what you want to provide to people. Once you have that information, then you can start making good decisions about some of the other brand influences that you want to have. Don't go for some huge esports logo that's going to cost you a good chunk of change if esports isn't what you're doing. Just because they look good doesn't mean they work good, right? In fact, you don't even need a logo. Use your face if you want. You want your logo to match whatever you have on that mission statement. I'm going off the notion that you're probably not some famous gamer out there, so the first thing people are going to see is your layout, your logo, or whatever you've got. They're going to see that type of stuff. And so we want whatever type of streamer we're going to be, whatever our mission statement is, what our brand is, to be in line with what influences we have. Alright, so I was going through and I was editing the video and I noticed my last clip just decided to fail. So real quickly, I just want to kind of recap everything for this video. First off, what is a brand? A brand is what other people think of you. It's your relationship with them, what they get out of that. That gives them a bunch of ideas about who you are, and that idea, those ideas, is your brand. No, you don't really have any control over it because some people are going to think differently of you, but we do have ways to influence it. We can influence what they think about us from everything from a logo and our layout when they first come into a stream, to other factors like how we communicate with them in the stream. Of course, logos also play an important role, and your layout, and basically everything that you're dressing your stream out of. That's kind of like wearing your clothes. If nobody knows who you are, they're going to focus on those type of things to just get an idea of what they're going to get themselves into if they do click your stream. That's what I would call a brand influence. There's more to it. I'm just kind of trying to make this so it's easy to understand. It's a small package. It's not something that's really like expanded to the point of what branding really is, but this is enough to get you going and enough to stop focusing on some of what other people will tell you branding is and focus on what the core of it is, so that you can make those smart decisions, like what you want your layout to be, like what you want your logo to be, all those type of things. So with that, Aramid out. You guys enjoy yourselves.